how you doing? Welcome to the Healthy Living Virtual Expo. You know, a funny thing happened on my way over here today. Yeah? A photographer stopped me, took my picture. He says to me, he says, Mr. Burns, I hope to be able to take your picture 20 years from now. I said, why not? You're a young fella. Now I want you to sit back and relax because you're in for an exciting afternoon. Yeah? I'm gonna sing. Yeah. Eight songs. And if you like them, I'll sing 9. And if you don't like them, I'll sing 38. All ballads. And I'll sing them slow and I'll sustain the last notes. You know, I got so many great songs, I don't know what song to open with. Now, let me tell you something about a good opening song. It's very important to have a good opening song. I know because I'm an old vaudeville actor. You pick a good, great opening song, you got a great opening. I found out that when I'm on stage, if I got a great opening and a great finish, keeps your mind off the dull stuff I do in the middle. Sometimes my opening song is so great, people think it's my finish. Sometimes it is. Okay, now we're gonna play a little song called Buy a Ring, but we're only gonna play the piano part, see? And then if you like it, we'll add the rest of the musicians. Maestro. I'd love to call you Rose, dear, but roses fade away. Roses die when wintertime appears. I'd love to call you Daisy, but daisies always tell what sweethearts love to whisper in your ear. And I'd love to call you Honey, but honey runs away. I'd much prefer a name like Cling and Vine. And if I called you Buttercup, the dandelions would eat you up. So I'll buy a ring and change your name to mine. Isn't that a nice song? Yeah, but it's too nice for an opening song. An opening song has to be something a little more upbeat, like this next song, a happy song like this one here. A sweet young girl was jilted by her husband. He left her and he went his merry way. With tearful eyes she wrote a final letter, in which her broken heart had this to say. I'm returning every present that you gave me. I'm sending back each letter that you wrote. Every sweet memento that we cherished. The locket that I wore around my coat. Enclosed, you'll find the mortgage on the house, dear. That I'm fair, you must admit is true. I'm returning everything except the baby. That's the one thing that I didn't get from you. Now, isn't that a sad song? Oh, yeah, it's too sad for an opening song. You see, an opening song has to be something a little more upbeat, something to make you want to hold on to your seat, you see, like this next song. Let's see. Yeah, like this song. I don't want the happiness gold can buy. All that I want is you. I don't give a damn for the sunlit sky. All that I want is you. Your ways, they bring back sweet memories of mother and love I once knew. The rest of life's joys are just broken toys for all that I want, all that I need, all that I care for, all that I dream of, all that I yearn for, all that I long for. You know, the last girl I sang that to got married, had 3 kids before I even finished the song. Is you. Now let me tell you a little something about these songs. These songs were all very popular songs when I was in vaudeville. It's hard to believe when I started in vaudeville, I was 7 years old. Yeah. I started by singing in the streets. I sang with 3 other guys. We called ourselves the Pee Wee Quartet. Now we started by singing in saloons. As soon as they heard us singing, they would throw us out in the street. And well, we sang in the street. Didn't like us singing in the street, they'd throw us back in the saloon again. Yeah, we didn't make much money, but we moved around a lot. Now let me tell you a little something about myself. I never played a good theater till I met Gracie. Before then, I was a small-time vaudeville actor till I was 27 years old. I was pretty bad. You should have seen some of those broken-down theaters I played at. I played one theater that was so bad. Madame Burkhart and her cockatoos were the headliners. I was unbelievably bad, but who cares? I wanted to be in show business, and I was. Had to change my name every week. Couldn't get a job with the same name twice. I was Jack Harris of Harris and Kelly. I was Phil Baxter of Baxter and Bates. I was Davis of Delight and Davis. My name was Sammy Davis. Yeah, don't look so shocked. I was Jewish before he was. I used so many names, I didn't know who I was. I remember I was sitting in Foley Marcus's office. Now, he was a small-time booking agent. This theater manager comes in. He says, where can I find Maurice Valente? I said, I'm Maurice Valente. Well, I thought I was. And he gave me a contract to play the Myrtle Theater in Brooklyn. And it said Maurice Valente and his Wonder Dog. So I signed it. Told you I'd do anything to stay in show business. So I went out, I got myself a piece of liver, went out and caught myself a dog, went to the Myrtle Theater to do my act. I walked out on stage with a dog under my arms. I stood there and I sang my songs. In the middle of the second number, the dog, he did his act. Twice. Ruined my finish. I couldn't do my tap dance. It took me a long, long time, but I loved every minute of it. All my life, I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance, I wanted to act, I wanted to be on stage. I made it. I don't know how. Nobody liked my singing but me. I'd be standing on the stage, singing my heart out, loving the audience, and they would despise me. Yeah, I was despised so often, I thought I was doing well. Then I became a buck dancer, but I could only tap with my right foot. And my left foot wanted me to go into some other business. So I did a dramatic sketch, and people laughed. I became a comedian. Nobody laughed. So I decided to become a straight man, because a straight man does nothing. I figured the comedian or the comedian would ask the question. A straight man, all I would have to do is repeat that question. See, I repeat the question, they do the punchline, they get a laugh, and I'm in show business. And it worked. Yeah. I remember I was 19 years old. I met this beautiful girl. Her name was Lily Lamont. And I asked her to do an act with me. And she invited me up to her apartment. And when I got there, the lights were low. The music was soft. And she had on a black negligee. And she says, how would you like to have a drink? Well, I figured this was my chance to see if I could make it as a straight man. So I repeated the question. I said, how would you like to have a drink? And she had one. And she said, would you care for another? And I repeated, would you care for another? And she had another one. After 5 or 6 drinks, she got stoned. And she said, let's go into the bedroom. And I repeated, let's go into the bedroom. And when we were in bed, she said, aren't you going to turn out the lights? And I said, aren't you going to turn out the lights? And she turned out the lights and I went home. She didn't get any laughs, so I left. That girl pretty near ruined my career. I was more than 60 years ago. I still can't figure out what made that girl think she was funny. But in those days, I'd do anything to stay in show business. Yeah. I remember I did a single. My name was Harry Pierce. And my billing was Harry Pierce, a singer from Rhode Island in an act of Providence. Look, I figured since I had no talent, I might as well have classy billing. And somehow I was booked into the Gem Theater on Houston Street, Lower East Side of New York. I got $15 for 3 days, $5 a day. And the contract had a no cancellation clause in it. Because back in those days, they could always cancel after the first performance. And after the matinee, the manager's waiting for me in the wings. He says, look, kid, he says, that act of yours can close my theater. He says, you're booked here for 3 days for $15. Here's the $15. Now go home. I said, not me. I'm booked for 3 days. I'm going to play the 3 days. He said, I'll give you $20. Go home. I said, no, all right. So you didn't like my first show. For my second show, I'll change my numbers. I'll open with Tiger Girl. Then I'll sing In the Heart of a Cherry. And for my finish, I'll do my big number. I'll be waiting for you, Bill, when you come back from San Juan Hill. He said, I'll make it $25. I said, no, sir, I'm staying. I'm a performer. I said, I even got cards printed. He says, okay, kid, you can stay. But give me back your key to the men's room. And that was kind of bad because that was where I was dressing. Now, let me tell you, when you don't go to the men's room for 3 days, it doesn't help you singing any. In fact, after the second day, I didn't dare do my yodeling finish. Now here's a cute little song you're gonna like. Now this song made the charts in 1882. I know. I introduced it. Helen Brown has left our town, changed her name in search of fame. Upon the screen, I think I've seen the girl that I mean. I could swear she was Helen Brown, best dressed girl in town. Got skin you love to touch, never let you touch it much. Oh, she won a beauty crown in her new red satin gown. She knocked the boys dead when she wore it, but she looked like Helen Brown. That's a little creeper for you. Yeah, tonight after you're trying to go to bed, see, you're not going to be able to sleep. You're going to be up all night thinking about the show, see. And so you're going to sneak down into the kitchen. You're going to make yourself a big pastrami sandwich. And you're about to take a bite, and it hits you, and you say, Helen Brown, Helen Brown. Oh, that's very funny. I get it now. Now this. You're not going to believe it. I did an act with a seal. That wasn't in my act. I was living on 45th Street in this little boarding house. This actor was living there. His name was Betts. And he did an act with a seal, Captain Betts and Flipper. And he was booked in the Dewey Theater on 14th Street. He got sick, asked me to take his place. I said, look, Betts, this is silly. I said, I never worked with a seal before. I said, I wouldn't know what to do. He says, oh, George, the seal does the whole act. The curtain rises, the seal's on a little platform, and you're standing there with a ball in your hand and your pocket's full of fish. And you throw the ball to the seal. The seal twirls the ball. He juggles the ball. He bounces the ball. He flips it back to you. You throw him a piece of fish, and he applauds with his flippers. Then he does 3 more tricks. And after each trick, you throw him a piece of fish, and again he applauds with his flippers. And at the end of the act, there's a rack of horns. The seal goes in back of the rack, and he blows in the horns. He plays Yankee Doodle. Bop, 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 bop. And at the end of Yankee Doodle, he presses a lever, 2 American flags pop up. You throw him a piece of fish, and as he's applauding with his flippers, you take a bow and the curtain comes down. Well, I opened at the Dewey Theater. I got away with it. But I had a date that night, see, with a very pretty girl. Her name was Betty McGrath. And I was ashamed to meet her. Because, after you do 4 shows with your pockets full of fish, you don't smell too good. Well, I met her and she didn't even notice because she was doing an act with Fink's Mules. In fact, she complimented me on my aftershave lotion. One of the first acts I ever did, it was a singing, dancing, roller skating act, Sullivan and Ryan. There were these 2 kids from the Lower East Side of New York, Sidney Solomon and Maxie Reingold. And they went into vaudeville and they called themselves Sullivan, Ryan, Singers, Dancers, Roller Skaters. Well, they got into a big fight, see, and they broke up. And I went to work with Ryan. And Sullivan got himself a new partner, but we both did the same act. So now you have Sullivan and Ryan and Sullivan. Then came another fight. We all broke up. We all got new partners. Again, we all did the same act. So now you have Sullivan and Ryan, Ryan and Sullivan, Sullivan and Sullivan, and Ryan. Then came another split. So now you got Sullivan and Ryan, Ryan and Sullivan, Sullivan and Sullivan, Ryan and Ryan, the Sullivan brothers and the Ryan boys. By the time we finished splitting up, every Jewish kid on the Lower East Side of New York was named either Sullivan or Ryan. Well, there was one kid, Jaime Goldberg, but he moved. Yeah, he told me he was afraid to live in an Irish neighborhood. Now I'm going to sing you a song. Now this song, it's not an opening song. But you've been such a nice, quiet audience. I've decided to throw this one in for free. Go ahead, Maestro. Good night, little girl, good night. I hope that you get home all right. The martinis were fine and your kisses divine. But I thought that by midnight you'd surely be mine. I was wrong, little girl, I was wrong. Run along, little girl, run along. If I couldn't win you with all the gin that's in you, good night, little girl, good night. Isn't that a charming little song? Now this you're not going to believe. Let me tell you. I did it. I did a ballroom dancing act. Yeah. Dunlap and Rosita. Let me see. My name was Dunlap. And in those days, all ballroom dancing acts dressed alike. See, the fella would wear a full dress suit and the girl wear an evening gown. And my full dress suit cost me $22.50. I bought it in one of those upstairs stores. See, if you walk up a flight of stairs, you save $5. And the way the suit fitted me, it looked like I walked up a flight and fell down too. The vest had a little rubber loop at the bottom that you would button on the top button of your pants to hold the vest down. And after the first cleaning, the suit shrunk. So instead of the loop holding my vest down, it pulled my pants up. I was the only ballroom dancer in the world who did a flat-footed waltz on his toes. Now I had to stay up there. If I got down on my heels, it would hurt. And Rosita got a dress in one of those fancy rental places, see, where they make a beautiful dress and then they rent it out 50 times for $10 a night, 50 times for $5 a night, 50 times for $2 a night, and then they sell it. And that was the dress that Rosita bought. It was a blue dress with long blue sleeves and very heavy gold lace skirt. And before she went out on stage, she would always tie a black velvet ribbon around her neck. And she tied it kind of tight. Well, she was skinny. She wanted her cheeks to puff out. But she tied it so tight that it affected her hearing. And when you're doing a dancing act and you can't hear the music, whoo, it's murder. And we did a little pivoting finish. See, she'd put her arms around my neck and I would swing around in the air. And when we opened at the Colonial Theater in Altoona, I went into this pivoting finish into heavy gold lace skirt. It left the dress and flew into the audience. And when she took her arms from around my neck, a blue sleeve stayed there. Then a ribbon fell off and her cheeks fell in. My rubber loop broke and I lost my pants. Now what's the use kidding? We didn't look neat. She with her cheeks in and her skirt off, me with the sleeves around my neck and my pants down. They not only closed us, they closed Altoona. Now I'm going to sing you another song. I told you I was going to sing you songs. This also is not an opening song. But I'm figuring if I can ever come up with a good opening song, this will be my second song. Yeah. Old bones inside an old raincoat. Old bones inside of old shoes. Old friends from the hotel come by to wish me well and keep me up to date on all the old news. Sometimes I have me a whiskey and fall asleep in my chair. And I dream that I'm a man, much younger than I am. I bet you think by now that I wouldn't care. But I love life. I'd like to do it again. Though I might not be much more than I've ever been. Just to have a chance to turn back the hands and let my life begin. Oh yeah, I'd like to do it again. It's time for taking it easy. It's time for doing it slow. Old bones don't move so fast as they did once in the past. Now, if I have to run, I simply don't go. But I love life. I'd like to do it again. Though I might not be much more than I've ever been. just to have a chance to turn back the hands and let my life begin. Oh yeah, I'd like to do it again. Oh yeah, I'd like to do it again. That's a great little song. That's a song. I've been in show business a long time, and I know all the big stars. I do. I know everybody. You know that Al Jolson? Oh yeah, very strange man. He would never allow himself to be seen in public with any other big successful stars. No, he only palled around with actors who had no talent. I know. I was one of his closest friends. Oh, and you know that singing style is. Oh yeah, he found it all by accident. Oh yeah. One night before the show, he was having dinner at Lindy's restaurant on Broadway, had a double order of vegetables and sour cream, which consisted of radishes, cucumbers, and onions. And that night, when he went out on stage, he sang April Showers, see? And he got a stomachache. And he sang, although April showers may come your way. And that was just from the radishes and the cucumbers, yeah? Oh, and the onions hit him. He fell down on one knee, stayed there, finished the song, turned out to be a sensation. Now, it's a well-known fact in show business that my best friend was Jack Benny. And it was also a well-known fact in show business that I could always make Jack Benny laugh. But it isn't true. I didn't make him laugh. He made himself laugh. Like one night he sees me at the club. He looks at me, he starts to laugh. I say, Jack, why are you laughing? I'm not doing anything. He says, I know you're not doing anything, but you're not doing anything on purpose. And it was always crazy little things like that would crack up Jack. Like I remember one time we were at a party, and there were a few of us standing around the bar, and we were all having cocktails, and we were all wearing dinner clothes. See? And I happened to notice that there was this little piece of thread on the lapel of Jack's coat. And so I says, Jack, that piece of thread you're wearing tonight looks very smart. Do you mind if I borrow it? So I took the piece of thread off of his lapel and I put it on my lapel. That was the whole thing. But that piece of business knocked Jack apart. He started laughing, pounding the bar. He falls on the floor. He's laughing so hard. So the next day I get a box and I put a piece of thread in it. And I sent it over to Jack's house with a note that said, Jack, thanks for letting me borrow this last night. About an hour later, I get a phone call from his wife, Mary. She says, George, that piece of thread got here about an hour ago and Jack is still on the floor. She says, if he ever stops laughing, I think I'm going to divorce him. Now, over all the years that I knew Jack, and all the things that I did to Jack, and I did a lot of things to Jack, he never got mad at me, not even once. Now, when Jack was supposed to be in the Neil Simon movie, The Sunshine Boys, he was sick. He knew he wasn't going to make it, see? And he asked them if they'll use me instead. And it worked. I got the part. Got an Academy Award, whole new career for me. Now, the last picture I made was 37 years ago. And making The Sunshine Boys was so exciting that I decided right then and there that I'm going to make a picture every 37 years. You know, they say the hard part of acting is being able to laugh or being able to cry, but nah, not for me. If I have to do a scene where I laugh, I just think of my sex life. If I have to do a scene where I cry, I just think of my sex life. I must be a very good actor because this morning after taking a shower, I looked in the mirror and I laughed and I cried at the same time. There I go, tearing myself down again. Now, let me tell you, there ain't a thing I can't do now that I couldn't do when I was 18. Gives you a pretty good idea how pathetic I was when I was 18. Now, I love to talk about the good old days, but I also love to sing about the good old days. And here's a great, great song about the good old days of vaudeville. Hat, cane, trunk, train. That's the way it was in vaudeville. Song, cue, soft shoe. Then you went out front and made you kill. They loved us in the cities. They loved us in the sticks. We didn't mind the vegetables, but when they threw the bricks, laugh, frown, tank, town. That's the way it was in vaudeville. Mamaroneck, Saranac, Scranton, and Canton, Austin and Boston, Racine, yes, I mean, that's the way it was in vaudeville. Asheville and Nashville, no Gallus and Dallas, Detroit and Beloit, Kankakee, don't you see? That's the way it was in vaudeville. Ah, vaudeville, what an era. I remember some of those small towns we played, like Zizek, Nevada. Yeah, just saying, it used to clear up my sinuses. That town was so small, the trains only stopped there once a week, just to laugh. But what made vaudeville so worthwhile was some of the unusual acts we worked with, like the great Maurice, half man, half woman. It was fine until he got arrested for making a pass at himself. But then at the last minute, he just dropped the charges. I once worked with the only act that ever got the electric chair and lived, Crispy Callahan. Yeah, that was a rare act. Well, now that I think about it, that act was really quite well done. But the most unusual act of all was Knock-Knees Needleman, the original one-man band. Yeah, nobody could follow him. He had cymbals strapped to his knees, a harmonica in his mouth, bass drums on both hips, mallets on his elbows, and if that wasn't enough, he tap danced on a Wurlitzer to the tune of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite. Kid had to belong to at least 6 unions. And when he died, see, they were lowering him into the grave. And a windstorm blew up, and he played at his own funeral. But vaudeville was great. You could travel light. All you needed was a little sand in your pocket, and you could make a living. I brought the sand. I need the money. I'm going to bet on the Dodgers. The act was a dilly in Cleveland and Philly. We rocked them in Brockton and Troy. The joy went to Cincinnati, in old Cincinnati. They screamed in Moline, Illinois. We had them in Chatham. We smashed them in Ashton. We killed them in Wilton. They raved in New Haven. Where the hell is New Haven? That's the way it was in Vorda. Listen, every son and daughter, aren't you glad that you have bought a ticket to a good old vaudeville? I love that song. It's a lot of fun. Now, you know, this afternoon wouldn't be complete unless we talked a little bit about Gracie. Yeah, let me tell you a little something about her. Gracie played a sort of dumb dame on stage, right? The whole world thought she was dumb, but she didn't see. She thought she was very smart. And whenever she said those strange things, she was always very surprised that you didn't understand her. Like one night I come home, I say, "What's for dinner?" She says, "Roast beef. I just put 2 roasts in the oven, a big one and a little one." I said, "Why 2?" She says, "Because when the little one burns, it means the big one's done." Once she told me that her sister Bessie had to stay home because her canary was hatching an ostrich egg. I said, "Gracie, isn't a canary too small to cover such a big egg?" She says, "Well, that's why Bessie has to stay home. She's sitting on the egg and holding the canary in her lap." When I asked her how her Uncle Harvey was, she told me that he had been held up by 2 men the night before. I said, "Really? Where?" She says, "Oh, all the way home from the bar." I really don't know why Gracie married me. I don't, truly. I know why I married her. She was a living Irish doll, 102 pounds, blue-black hair, sparkling eyes. Now, I'm not going to tell you about how I met Gracie, or our courtship, or my proposal, or anything about that $17 wedding ring that I bought her that was marked down to $11. But there is a little story I'd like to tell. I'm not so sure you'll enjoy it, but I'd like to hear it again. Now, when Gracie and I first started working together, she was going with this fella named Benny Ryan. And Gracie was in love with Benny Ryan. Benny Ryan was in love with Gracie. I was in love with Gracie. But I couldn't compete with Benny Ryan. No, he was charming, witty, tremendous talent. So there I am. I'm in love with this lovely girl, but I don't stand a chance with her. Now, Gracie and I are booked for 18 weeks on the Orpheum circuit. And this is big time. And it included a tour of all the major cities in the Western states. And when Benny Ryan heard about the tour, he asked Gracie to cancel it and to marry him. Now, Gracie knew how important it was, see, for me to play these big theaters. So she told Benny Ryan he'd have to wait until after the tour and then she'd marry him. Well, Benny Ryan was furious, see. But me, I figured, hey, I got 18 weeks on this road with Gracie, anything can happen. Now, in those days, the team of Burns and Allen, we made $400 for each of us. That's $200 for each. And out of that, I had to pay my agent, send money home to my mother, pay for my hotel, train, food, left me about $85 a week. And I was spending every nickel trying to make a good impression on Gracie. I would take her to the best restaurants and we would go out dancing. And so 9 weeks later, we land in San Francisco. I'm broke and I'm nowhere with Gracie. Now, you wouldn't think a case of appendicitis would play a major role in a romance, but it did. Gracie and I are playing the Orpheum Theater in San Francisco, and Gracie's rushed to the hospital with an emergency appendectomy. And before she goes into surgery, she asks me if I'll send a wire to Benny Ryan, letting know that she's in the hospital. Well, I sent the wire. I know it was not one of my bright moments, and it cost me my last 85 cents. Anyway, Gracie comes through the hospital and through the operation, see, just fine. But while she's recovering, it means I have to spend 3 weeks in San Francisco with no money coming in. And she knows this, see, and she says to me, she says, George, my mother lives here in San Francisco. So I've arranged for you to stay with my mother until I can go back to work. And if that wasn't enough, she also knew I was broke, so she loans me $200. So there I am, I got place to stay, home cooking, $200 in my pocket. You'd think I'd be happy, but I wasn't. All I could think about was that wire I sent to Benny Ryan. Well, naturally, I'm at the hospital every day, and after a couple of days, I noticed that Gracie seemed very upset. And she looks up at me and she says, I don't understand it. We haven't heard from Benny Ryan since we left New York. And she says, George, are you sure you sent that wire? I said, yeah, Gracie, I sent it. I said, I didn't want to send it, but I sent it. And that day when I left the hospital, I still had $160 in my pocket. So I went to the first florist I could find and I sent Gracie $160 worth of flowers. Every flower you ever heard of. And back in those days, well, $150 worth of flowers could fill that room. Not only fill the room, the hospital had flowers coming out of the windows. And it worked, see. The next day, after fighting my way past all the flowers, see, I get to Gracie's bedside. She gives me a big smile. She says, George, anybody who would spend my $200 to send me flowers has to be a very nice man. And then she kissed me. And in my mind's eye, I could see Benny Ryan bite the dust. Well, Gracie and I were married right after the tour. Come to think of it, I don't think I ever paid her back that $200. Gracie and I had a wonderful marriage. Everything was working out, including our career. Our marriage was a success, but our career was going great. Everything was going great except for me and my performance. I was still pathetic. I did absolutely nothing, and I put on makeup to do it. It's a good thing that it's okay that I wasn't getting any better because Gracie, she carried the whole show. Now, I'll never forget the first time we played the Palace Theater in New York. Now, playing the Palace was the goal of every vaudeville act. Just thinking about it made us both nervous wrecks. Gracie ran out and bought herself a brand new outfit, and I even got my spats cleaned. Now, I'll never forget that first act we did that first time at the Palace. So we're standing backstage and we're holding hands, and the orchestra plays our music. So we walk out on stage holding hands, and Gracie lets go of my hand. She walks toward the wings. A man steps out. She kisses that man. He goes backstage. She comes over to me and she says, now, who was that? I said, don't you know? She said, no, my mother told me never to talk to strangers. I said, Gracie, did the nurse ever happen to drop you on the head when you were a baby? She says, oh, no, we can never afford a nurse. My mother had to do it. I said, well, you have a very smart mother. She says, well, my brother's no dummy. I said, well, then let's talk about your brother. She said, what brother you want to talk about? The one who's married or the one who sleeps on the floor? I said, you have a brother who sleeps on the floor? She said, yeah, he's got high blood pressure. We're trying to keep it down. I said, Gracie, is that the brother that has the scar on his neck? She says, oh, yeah, the appendix scar. I said, no, Gracie, see, the appendix is way down here. She goes, oh, I know. But my brother's so ticklish, they had to operate up here. I said, Gracie, well, how is he now? She said, well, he lost his job. I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that he lost his job. She said, yeah, he was a window washer. I said, well, how did he lose his job? She says, well, he was on the 20th floor when he stepped back to admire his work. And he lost his job. And he was very embarrassed. I said, embarrassed? She said, yeah, when he hit the pavement, his collar flew off and his appendix got showed. I said, Gracie, let's talk about your other brother, your brother Willie. How's your brother Willie? And she said, well, he broke his back, you know. I said, no, I didn't know he broke his back. She said, yeah, he broke his back on account of he's left-handed. I said, he broke his back on account of he's left-handed. She says, yeah, you see, Willie had a donut in his right-hand pocket. And when he went to take it out with his left hand, he broke his back. I said, well, maybe the next time he has a donut in his right-hand pocket, he should try to take it out with his right hand. She says, well, that's very hard to do when you have your pants on backwards. I said, he had his pants on backwards. She said, well, you see, Willie had a suit with 2 pair of pants. He put 1 pair on frontwards and 1 pair on backwards, so he could go either way. And that's when the truck hit him. I said, the truck? What truck? She said, the truck that didn't have his lights lit. I said, well, why didn't the fella in the truck have his lights lit? She said, well, he didn't have to because it was daytime. I said, Grace, if it was daytime, didn't the fella in the truck see your brother coming? She says, oh, well, he didn't know it was my brother. He just saw these 2 pair of pants walking toward him. He tried to drive between them. I said, Gracie, this family of yours, do they all live together? She says, oh, yes. My father, my brother, my uncle, my cousin, my nephew, they all sleep in one bed. I said, really, one bed? I said, I'm surprised your grandfather doesn't sleep with him. She said, well, he did, but he died, so they made him get up. Now, that's the act that Gracie and I did the first night at the Palace Theater. It was very, very funny. And after this part, see, the lights would come down and a spotlight would hit Gracie. And she would sing. And the audience loved her because her voice had this very beautiful, pure quality. And during the whole time, while she was singing, I stood in the corner, in the dark. Many critics thought this was the high point of my performance. And when Gracie would dance, she just brought down the house. So finally, the lights would come back up and we would continue with our act, which consisted of about 10 more minutes of this comedy dialogue scene, which was very easy for me because all I had to do was repeat those hilarious lines I said in the first part. And then we ended our act with a typical boy-girl number, see, where we would be dancing and then we would stop the music and we would tell some jokes. And it went a little bit like this. Maestro, music. And we're doing this little dance, a little T for 2 dance, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and stop. I'd say, Gracie, how's your cousin? Oh, the one who died? Yeah. Oh, well, he's fine now. Music. And then we would dance again. Just a little T for 2, you know, a little soft shoe. But 1 and 2 and 3 and stop. Gracie, how's your sister? Oh, she's fine, but she had a brand new baby. I said, I didn't know. Really, a boy or a girl? She says, I don't know, and I can't wait to get home to find out if I'm an aunt or an uncle. Music. And then we would dance again. And 1 and 2 and 3, stop. And I'd say, Gracie, how's your Uncle Harvey? She says, oh, he's fine, but the other day he fell down a flight of stairs with a bottle of scotch. Never spilled a drop. I said, really? She said, yeah, he kept his mouth shut. I said, music. And 1 and 2 and 3 and stop. I say, Gracie, how's your sister Bessie? She says, oh, she's fine, but the other day she woke up in the middle of the night, let out the biggest scream you ever heard. We all went running into her room. Well, what happened? Well, we looked down and both of her feet had turned black. I said, what'd you do? She said, well, we sent for the doctor. I said, well, what did the doctor do? She said, well, he just took off her stockings and we all went to bed again. And then we would dance our way off the stage. Yeah, that's the act that Gracie and I did that first time at the Palace Theater. And we were a big hit. I know, I was there. Now I want to sing a little a little love song for Gracie. It's a sweet song, and well, I miss her. I love her laughter. I love her smile. No one was quite like her. I love her style. Gracie, thanks for the dreams that you gave me. When I was in trouble, you saved me. You made me the man that I am. Gracie, why you picked me is a mystery. But thanks for the joys and the memories. Gracie, the love of my life. Gracie, the love of my life. I can remember your hand in mine. You're always with me, all of the time. Gracie, thanks for the dreams that you gave me. When I was in trouble, you saved me. You made me the man that I am. Gracie, why you picked me is a mystery. But thanks for the joys and the memories. Gracie, the love of my life. Gracie, the love of my life. Gracie, the love of my life. I'm sorry for getting all serious on you. I'll save that for when I'm 100. I get a lot of mail, and everybody says the same thing. They say, George, when are you gonna retire? Well, I'm never gonna retire. No. I'm gonna stay in show business till I'm the only one left. There's this thing you're supposed to retire when you're 65, huh? Then when I was 65, I still had pimples. No, I can't retire. Who'd support my mother and my father? Now, before I kick you out of here, I got another little song I'm gonna sing, but it's a sad song, gonna make you cry. But I'm gonna ask you to keep it down because I don't want everybody else to miss the lyrics. Okay? Go ahead, nice job. Sweetheart number 1 is nearly 50, while number 2 is 22 today. Number 3 came like a springtime flower, and she'll be 2 years old the 1st of May. My heart, its triangular devotion, beats for the ones in life so dear to me. A mother, a wife, and a baby to share my life. That's sweetheart number 1. 2. Are you crying? Okay. Well, you're gonna like this next one. Don't touch it. You're gonna like this next one. It also made the charts. Oh, I forgot the number of my house the last time I went out. Oh, I forgot the number of my house, so for hours I roamed about. So I unscrewed the number from the door. I have it here with me tonight. All I've got to find is the door that it belongs to. Then I'm all right. And this last one here, this is my favorite. You're gonna like this. My kid brother is a lazy kid. One night's work is all the work he did. Wrote a song entirely wrong. Up in Yonkers, it is going strong. George M. Cohen and the other gang heard my brother in a song he sang. He said it cannot miss. It's bound to be a hit. How can it miss? How can it miss? When the chorus goes like this. Sweetheart number 1 is nearly 50. That's another little creeper, see? Yeah, so tonight when you bite into that big pastrami sandwich, see, and then you're gonna spit it out all over the floor, and you're gonna say, "Sweetheart, sweetheart." He said, "Sweetheart." That's very funny. I hope so, anyway. Yeah. Oh, I think I've got my opening song. Oh yeah, this is a song. This is a great song. It started a whole new career for me. It's called "I Wish I Was 18 Again." And if you know the lyrics, you can sing along with me. I don't care. In a bar down in Dallas, an old man chimed in, and I thought he was out of his head. Just being a young man, I just laughed it off when I heard what that old man had said. He said, "I'll never again turn the young ladies' heads or go running off into the wind. I'm 3/4 home from the start to the end. And I wish I was 18 again. I wish I was 18 again. And going where I've never been. But old folks and old oaks standing tall, just pretend. I wish I was 18 again. Now time turns the pages, and oh, life goes so fast. The years turn the black hair all gray. I talk to some young folks. They don't understand the words this old man's got to say. I wish I was 18 again and going where I've never been. But old folks and old oaks standing tall, just pretend. I wish I was 18 again. Lord, I wish I was 18 again. Thank you very much for coming, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed your healthy living, whatever this is called. Have a great day. God bless you. Good night now.